Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another DataStax live stream. I'm Aaron Ploetz, and today I'm joined by Ali Hanyaloglu. Did I say that right? Did I already totally butcher it?
I think you got two of the letters right.
Two of the letters right. Well, yeah, I suppose out of all the letters, that's pretty terrible, isn't it? Ali, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Hey, everyone. It's great to see you. I'm Ali Hanyaloglu, or you can just use Ali H. That's fine. And it's great to be able to join your webinar today, Aaron. I guess we'll do some little bit more introductions and everything in a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just gonna say I have some sympathy for you with a last name that's hard to pronounce. I tell you, I've heard every possible mispronunciation of Pletz as possible. Like Plots is probably the most common one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, I'm Aaron from DataStax. Been here for I've actually been at DataStax about 3 years now. But prior to that, I led the NoSQL database engineering team over at Target. And before that, I was on the Cassandra team at Grainger. So I've done an awful lot in terms of retail and e-commerce. And yeah, that kind of leads us to our discussion today with Ali from Amplience. Ali, could you tell us a little bit about Amplience and a little bit about what you guys do?
Happy to do that. So the short version of what we do is that we are a headless content management system. That's probably what we are known for. But what does that mean exactly? Well, the slightly longer version of that is that our platform helps marketers, merchants, and developers of brands and retailers and other commerce businesses be able to generate, manage, and deliver all of the content and assets that they need to be able to sell products on both their owned and unowned properties and connect with their customers in meaningful ways. My role at Amplience is I lead the product marketing team. I've been here for about 2 years now, but I've actually been I've been in tech for a long time. I won't say how long, it will age me, but I've been in commerce tech now for I think about 15 years now, actually. And I've been in ad tech, I've been in search, I've been in PIM, and now in CMS. I feel like I've been in sort of every aspect of e-commerce technology.
Kind of the whole gamut there.
Business side and the marketing and the technical side. Except for the e-commerce platforms themselves. I probably will get around to there one day. So that's a little bit about what we do and a little bit about me.
Okay, well, excellent. Well, for everyone else joining us, just to kind of quick go over our plan for today. Now that we've got some introductions done. Ali and I are basically going to talk about kind of some trends that we're seeing. In terms of like AI, Gen AI development inside of retail and e-commerce. And we'll do that for a little bit, and then I'll have a quick demo on putting together an AI shopping assistant. I know that's in the title, so we kind of do have to make sure that we hit that one pretty hard.
Definitely touch on that.
Oh yeah. But yeah, and I can show you how easy it is to put something like that together with our stack here at DataStax, and then we'll take some questions, and I think that'll be about it. So yeah, that's kind of the plan.
Awesome.
All right, well, I guess we could start with a lot of folks that look to get started with building AI into their stack and seeing what kind of business value they can drive from it. They tend to focus on certain use cases. Ali, are there like certain use cases you've seen kind of fall more in line with something you could use to drive business value with from AI?
So we have been, we are a DataStax customer, of course, as well as a partner, and we've been using it as a foundation for our platform. And one of the things that we realized was, we could use AI as a means to be able to automate the workflows that marketers and merchants and others have when it comes to working with their content that drives retail experiences.
Oh, sure.
And so, we like nearly everybody else, went, let's have a look at Gen AI about a year ago, and let's see what we can do there. And so what we've been seeing is that there's so many players out there, and I'm sure you've seen it, and everybody who's watching right now has seen this, which is like, let's have that button that basically would generate a product description in one way or another that passes over to an AI service and then gives a result back, and we're done, we're good, right? And we realize, no, it actually has to go beyond that. And so we've been looking at other areas where we can leverage AI, not just to generate content, but to bring levels of automation and optimization as well, throughout that entire life cycle of working with content specifically. So that'll be things like using AI, not just to generate things like titles and descriptions that can be used for SEO purposes, but actually using AI to evaluate and analyze how effective that might be and score it appropriately.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So what we're seeing out there is, well, first of all, I mean, Aaron, you know this, and I'm sure everybody's watching this, like, AI is not new. Even actually Gen AI and LLMs are not new, right? They've been around for a long time. And they've been used in retail in many cases already as well. So other areas that I've seen, personalization is one big one.
Right.
And it's been using AI in one flavor or another. I mean, I'm going back. I remember when it was actually not using AI, it was all rules-based. And you had to define complex rules, whether you did that through some kind of workflow tool or you hand-coded them. But then, through using machine learning broadly, maybe deep learning techniques, most recently around Gen AI is being used as well with LLMs. But that's typically where most people think of. And then, of course, the topic of today around AI chatbots.
Right.
But what other customers are looking at is actually how can they use this to automate many aspects of the experience that their customers have with them as a retailer or a brand who's providing them a complex experience in some way. And that touches now things on customer service, for example. It's being used as a way also for the employee experience. How can we actually help our in-store staff using AI for them to be able to provide a better experience? So it goes beyond just what we immediately think of around personalization and chatbots. It actually touches every aspect of the customer journey.
Oh, excellent, excellent. I really like that that part you mentioned about using it as like kind of like a test or a system of checks and balances on, like, SEO or content generation. Like, hey, this is what we put together. How does this look in comparison to like other things that we've generated in the past? How would it score for SEO? Is this likely to work if we use this to our desired intent?
Exactly. Exactly. Cool. Again, AI has been used for that in the past in one way or another, to be able to do that kind of analysis, especially when there is lots of data to be able to churn through. The difference now is that with Gen AI, the recommendations or the results can be provided in a much more human-like sounding formats that a user can then take action on.
Yeah. To play off of another point that you had too, you talk about personalization as like a common use case for for AI applications, and you also mentioned too that this isn't new. AI's been around for a bit, but it's been in one form or another, but a lot of rules based, it kind of evolved out of that. I could tell you that that kind of along that same line. One of the larger Cassandra clusters that I worked on backed a recommendation system like that. And it used Cassandra because the data set was really, really huge. It was basically a cross section of all of our product IDs and all of our customer IDs, and what they'd added to their cart or what they'd bought, and it was kept mapped like that in such a way so that you could really quickly just, hey, with this customer ID, what other products would they possibly need, or have they bought in the past? And you could do it the other way around too, of like, hey, people who bought this product also bought this. There are ways to kind of map that.
Yes.
And the way that it was used, and this is like 2015 when I first ran across this solution, was this was the result of a Hadoop job, a giant MapReduce job that ran, and I'm not kidding, it ran like at least for 2 days before we could get anything meaningful out of it, and put that in.
Yeah.
And it was like, and that was where I mean, it's funny, but that's where the state of the art was.
State of the art was, and that wasn't too long
Yeah.
ago as well. And that was the thing. A lot of early AI, it really wasn't. It was actually pattern matching,
Right.
is what it was doing. And so in that case, what it was doing, it was processing all of those, coming up with some potential outputs. And essentially a developer would come along and say, well, based on this query, it looks like it would match that. That seems the closest.
Yeah.
Pattern matching. So yeah, no, we've come a long way since then, very quickly.
Right. Right. And it's like, you look at how much time you could save for something like that now, like maybe you had a way of like, quickly loading, better results or sales data, into your recommendations model. And, you could make it so that it refreshed that. So it was like nigh real time, like just about real time, versus that solution where it's like, your best data is already 2 days old as soon as it makes it out there.
No, exactly. And that's not never good enough, because that's not going to help someone be competitive. Thankfully, now there are technologies and vendors out there who are providing phenomenal tools to help with things like product recommendations, or what's sometimes called as searchandising.
Right.
As well, you may have heard of that expression. And it leverages actually multiple AI technologies, including things like natural language processing, to better understand what you're looking for. Because we're humans and we're dumb, and sometimes we just don't know what we're looking for. So when we say we're looking for red sneakers, what do we actually mean?
Right.
And those engines are able to leverage multiple data points, massive sets of data and interactions, to be able to recommend something that is relevant to you based on your context as well. And so that way they ultimately, this is my thing, is that we aren't using AI for the sake of AI.
Oh, no.
Technology. It ultimately has to be something that is either going to drive a specific business objective, or it's ultimately there to help improve the experience that your customers have with you, because that's how you differentiate.
Right.
And so that is sort of like the fundamental thing to always keep in mind, is just because you've got some automation doesn't mean you're done. It has to deliver on a result.
No, for sure. Another thing that you kind of mentioned before too was that when starting to look into like Gen AI and how it can help is that we're at a point, I mean, maybe a year ago, and it's probably likely still happening, where everyone's doing it. Everyone's out there doing some kind of R&D, trying to figure out, well, hey, this is a thing, so I should look at this, and now we'll see how it kind of drives value. And in talking to developers, I get the general feeling that the success rate of that is actually pretty low. That of all the people I've talked to out there, I've maybe like 30% of them actually have something running in production, and maybe even that's a little generous. I still think it's just been my experience that most of the folks who say, yeah, we tried this, we're looking at it, they never really get out of the try this, looking at it phase. Have you heard something kind of similar to that?
We've heard similar things from our customers and others in the industry, which is well, I would say, through probably this summer, I would say, like, people were saying, yeah, we're kind of trying it out, experimenting with it, seeing what we can do. We're not sure of the use cases. Maybe we'll find one. And first of all, I always have to say, like, I've heard this before when the cloud came about.
Oh, right. Right.
Way back. Okay, again, I'm aging myself here. I still remember when the cloud was a thing, and people were like, I don't know. Putting on somebody else's computer, I don't know. We've got a nice data center here. Let's just use that. People weren't sure, and now it is the thing. Like, you don't think of any other way to operate and build.
Right.
And it's a similar analogy with that. But I think what's starting to happen is a couple of things. First of all, when Gen AI kind of really took off last year, right away, the hype was all around, it's going to replace human work.
Right.
We started seeing
unfortunately,
Gen AI being used to write code. And it'd be like, that's the end of the developer. And I'm a bit controversial statement right now, but that's what people were saying. That hasn't really happened.
Right.
Smart developers have been like, actually, I can use this to my benefit so that I can actually get to a result faster. At the end of the day, we've seen marketers saying, oh my God, just use Gen AI is going to take our job. I don't have to, no, they're just going to write the content for me. It's going to organize the content for me. It's going to publish the content for me. And it's going to track it all for me. I'm out of a job. Actually, no,
that hasn't happened either.
That hasn't happened either. And so that's what we're going to see happening. And you're going to start hearing about this more and more, I think, which is what's going to happen is these are essentially machines, and we're going to collaborate with them. Is what's going to happen.
Right.
There are going to be more and more of them, and they're going to move, they're going to shift from being point solution kind of things that maybe will do or do not work to actually being a series of agents for us. And we shift from being users, to use a Tron term, to actually being supervisors. And what we're doing is the grunt work will be done by AI agents, but we will be there to monitor, supervise, audit, quality control what they do. And so our role with AI is what's going to change in the future.
Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah, absolutely. You kind of mentioned that the agents will kind of take over a little bit, and we'll be in more of a supervisory role. That kind of leads to where a lot of folks think that kind of the next step is like fast AI communication collaboration, because agents will be talking to agents instead of the humans, and that agent to agent is really where a lot of the magic could happen.
I totally agree. And that's one thing. I once worked with a leader on the AI front who was, came from academia. And one thing I learned from him, he used to say was, he says, the thing about artificial intelligence is that it's really dumb. And I get what he means, because that's the thing. AI is, first of all, remember, it's just a tool. Secondly, it's good at one thing. That it's good at. And so that will probably continue. You can read books out there, and some may disagree with me, but I think we are a long way from artificial general intelligence. We're a long way from that, if at all. Instead, what we'll have is independent AI agents that are good at doing one thing. And the technology is yet to come yet, but it will be coming that will essentially coordinate AI agents for us and do that grunt work. So when I say something like, I really need a vacation, there'll be different AI agents that will go and book my flight, book my hotel, take care of restaurant reservations, make sure I've got a rental car, get my calendar in order. Those are different functions. There won't be one AI that does all of it. There'll be different AIs that work together and coordinate and bring that all together in there. But we still supervise it. We still coordinate it. We still need platforms to manage all of those and make sure that they are singing and dancing correctly, so that we get to the result that we want, which is taking a vacation.
That's a great point. You mentioned having an AI assistant to take care of your flights, kind of manage your personal calendar and work in collaboration like that. I remember earlier in my career, I went to a conference in Phoenix, and I had accidentally booked my return flight on the same day, but a month later. It was March and April, and with the number of days in the month, it just lined up perfectly that the same date was the same day of the week, and it just didn't dawn on me. And I just kept thinking of, oh wow, wouldn't that be great if I had a personal assistant to take care of that and wouldn't rely on me to
exactly. And that's the thing, is that I think that, others have talked about this as well. This we're going to be entering an age of human machine collaboration. Is the sort of the next industrial revolution, essentially. That is the energy behind it is AI. And I think that's going to be the case whereby, the best of humanity will combine with the best of these machines, and the mistakes that we make as humans, hopefully, will just be gone. We won't even worry about it anymore, because we can focus on the good things. That's my utopian view of it.
and save me from having to plead with a gate agent to let me on a flight.
Yeah, good luck with that, my friend.
All right. Well, why don't we shift over to the demo portion?
Let's talk about chatbots, AI chatbots.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go ahead and be working on putting this together, and I'll kind of talk through what I'm doing as I'm doing it. But Ali, feel free to jump in, commentary, make fun of me here, and whatever seems to work at the moment, and yeah, we can make this happen here.
I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Okay, here. Let me now somewhere around here. Okay, there we go. And then let me present, and I'll say screen. And
while you're doing that, I'll share with everybody, while we're on the topic of chatbots, you and I, when we were, by the way, we do actually prepare this stuff, just so you know, we do.
Oh yeah.
And you asked the question of what will chatbots, if AI is replacing anything, what will AI chatbots replace? And my answer, if you remember, was FAQs.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Chatbots will get rid of FAQs, something I, as a product marketer, cannot stand. Usually because they're not actually asked questions, and they're definitely not frequently asked questions. AI chatbots is a way to be able to get rid of those and provide something that is very relevant and specific. So I'll let you show how we can build those.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, I see someone in the chat is like, are others able to hear? Yep. Okay. All right. Well, it may just be Vanda having an issue with her, with her sound. All right. Okay. So, what everyone's looking at here is DataStax Astra. It's our dashboard. I can go down and interact with my database if I want. But instead, I'm going to click on this Build with Langflow button. And for those of you who haven't checked out Langflow, you absolutely should. This is our component-based GUI for assembling AI applications. And of course, it's nicely integrated with Astra DB, so you can use that as a storage backend for vector, of course. But it's not tied to that. You can absolutely swap in other data store components as well. So as you can see here, I no cheating. I don't have anything pre-built. This is my blank slate here. So I'll say new project, and I'm going to say vector store RAG. We're going to build this as a RAG application, which is for those who haven't worked with that yet, is retrieval augmented generation. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to give me this template of components that are kind of connected together. What I'm going to do is for those of you who may have been maybe taking some of our older webinars that we've had with like Ali mentioned, during the pandemic time, we were doing a lot of webinars. They're really common. Maybe people got some fatigue. Well, we used to do a webinar on building an e-commerce site, and what I've done is gone and taken the product data from that site, and I'm going to use it to build a shopping assistant. So if I go to my file component here, and I can click, and I'll go to documents, and here we go, products CSV. There we go, nice and simple. Now that's going to go into a text splitter. For those of you who are familiar with Langflow does actually sit on top of a lot of LangChain based libraries. Kind of the cool thing is that I can actually go ahead and look at the code that's behind it. And you can see, yep, it's pulling in that LangChain splitters library, and that's what we're gonna use for this. I'm actually gonna drop the chunk overlap. Normally, when you split text out from a file, you want some overlap in there to help the model maintain context, or maintain for the conversation. I'm just gonna drop that to 100 instead of 200. I see a question in the chat about which LLM are we going to use today. We're actually going to use OpenAI's Text Embedding 3 Small. And I apologize for those who may have a hard time seeing here, but I've zoomed in quite a bit. So I've got that selected. kind of the cool thing about Langflow is that screen is almost invisible. Oh no. Well, that's unfortunate. I was going to say the cool thing about Langflow is that okay, oh that's good. Someone else can see it. What you can do is you can set your credentials for the different components as environment variables. And that's what I've done here. So when I have an OpenAI component in there, it knows to grab my OpenAI API key that I have kind of set in the background there. So I don't need to touch anything here. Now, if I go to the Astra DB component, I'm going to specify my vector database, just called vector DB. I wasn't having a good creative day that day. But if I have a look at my vector-enabled collections, you can see I have this AI assistant vectors here. And really, if I can go ahead and, jump out to a SQL shell terminal here and jump over to that key space. And there's my AI assistant vectors table. And you can see it's completely empty. So if I did everything right here, when I run this, hit this arrow here on the Astra DB component, which is on the far right, it should trigger the rest of them. Yep, I see the building message over here. And then you can see each one of these kind of goes through, and hopefully you get green check marks all around. Now, if I go ahead and I run a select from this table, hey, all right, we have data. And that's text and vector data, a lot of vector data, actually. All right. So that's our data loading flow. Let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit to our actual conversational flow. I'm going to start with the chat input component. I'm just going to ask a very, very simple question, and I'll say, can you help me find a purple shirt? Just like that. Easy, easy. I'm going to use the same text3 embedding small LLM. I'm also going to make sure that I'm using the same vector database and collection, my AI assistant vectors. The parser is okay. I'll get to the prompt in a second, but the OpenAI conversational component here is going to use the GPT-4o model. And that'll send it on through to the output. So now if I go to the prompt, this is where it can get kind of fun, where you can put some things in for the prompt. I actually am going to cheat a little bit here. I do have some prompt rules that are pre-typed here. I'm just going to go ahead and paste those in, but basically you're a personal shopping assistant for the Astra apparel store. Shoppers will ask you to help find certain products, and you are limited to provide the product information for Astra Apparel's products, and you may not use data from other sources. That's important. You gotta set some guardrails with some of these models. But prompt engineering is a fascinating thing in and of itself. I mean, I could go ahead here and say, you must answer like you are a pirate, and it'd be like, and then kind of insert.
And it will do that. We've actually been finding the same thing, which is there's a lot that you can put into a prompt through engineering that can really give far superior results on the way out. Like you said, if you want to do it in a pirate voice, it'll do it. But more interesting, if you put things like, make sure you use you in the result, not something in the third person, it will do that, and it will sound great. By the way, you're using ChatGPT 4o. We found that actually to be phenomenal in terms of the results, but also the performance too. It is well worth checking out.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. All right. So that should be the last piece of this that I need. If I go ahead and hit the play arrow here, this should all build up. There we go. Oh, green check marks all around. All right. So now I can have a look at the playground here. And if you remember, the question that I put in that it kind of started with was, can you help me find a purple shirt? And it's like, sure, here are the purple shirts available at Astra Apparel. And it has basically it's coming back with I inputted one of the products that we used as a booth shirt earlier this year, and it's like all purple with a little graph vector thing on it. But yeah, and then I can ask for more information on any of these options. So I could say, tell me more about the medium shirt. I think that's the only definable difference. Maybe this isn't such a hot example. I could go ahead and run that, and it should come back and maybe give me a little more information here. Let's see. Certainly, here are the details for the medium. Oh, okay. It didn't limit it to the purple shirt. So yeah,
it did ask for medium and it gave you all the options.
It did do medium. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Oh, you're right. I may need to give it some more parameters. But now that we've kind of built our AI assistant. Let me show you the other cool part is how you can integrate this as well. So if I click on the API button down here, you'll see what it does is it gives me a curl request that's for an HTTP post, so that I can send my shopping messages into this from whatever service, and it'll go ahead and bring them back. So what I have here is a Java front end that I've built using Vaadin. I know there's probably better ways to build a front end, but at my core, I'm a Java guy, so that's what I tend to default to. But here, as you can see, I've got my shopping assistant controller, and it's pulling in the Langflow URL along with a bearer token that I'll pass as a header variable. And really, my shopping assistant is pretty simple. It's just, I have an Astra image, and I have a message list and a message input, and then a listener that just kind of sends a lot of this through. And it's pretty simple. There's not a whole lot of complicated code here. So what I can do is I can say run as, and I'll go to my run configurations. And yes, I know I'm one of the few people left on Earth who prefers Eclipse over VS Code. I might lose some of my nerd cred on that one, but I've been using Eclipse for like 15 years, and I don't want to use anything else.
As long as it works. Although
That's right.
I have to admit, I haven't seen Eclipse in years either.
All right, let me add the URL. And then I can go back here as well. I'm going to generate a new token and copy that. And then I can go back here and I can paste it in, and we'll apply and run. All right. So now if I did that right, look at that. We have our Astra Apparel chatbot. Okay. So I can say, let's see here. Can you help me find a hoodie? So now this is sending that request out to my my instance of my vector database and Langflow, and with any luck, it'll come back with oh, hey, look at that. Certainly, here are the hoodies available at Astra Apparel. Well, I guess I could have done a better job on the chat output here to maybe convert some of this markdown language that's coming back. But yeah, we have a DataStax black hoodie and a vintage MVP 2015 hoodie. How about that? So then I could say, hey, tell me more about the 2015 MVP hoodie. All right, and let's see this process a little. Here we go. Officially known as the DataStax Vintage 2015 hoodie is a special edition hoodie given out to MVPs at the 2015 DataStax Cassandra Summit. Warmth and comfort, making it a cozy choice for any occasion. That's pretty awesome right there.
It is awesome to see. It's awesome to see. And that's and a couple of things that's great about this, and why using Langflow gives you sort of that flexibility as a developer,
Mhm.
is you can incorporate things like a tone of voice
Oh yeah,
in the
yeah,
response that you're getting back, which you're seeing there. Like, it's a cozy choice. Maybe you don't want to use cozy. Maybe use a different word, and you can do that too. Replace words and omit words. And I think the other thing is what you're showing here is just incredible flexibility from what can be built. AI chatbots don't have to live in the bottom right-hand corner of every single screen that you have on your sites and apps. If you want to put them inline flow above the fold with the UX that you're presenting on the rest of the site, there's
yeah,
nothing that says you can't do that. Try it out, see what works for your customers. Usually trying to keep it in context with what they're doing rather than
right,
moving all over
right.
might be a good choice. But that's the beauty of using this. You have that choice to determine what works best for you and your customers.
For sure, for sure. All right. I guess I can stop sharing now. Oh, hey, and then you and I are back to normal. All right.
Super cool. Good stuff.
Well, hey, really, just let me say, Ali, thank you so much for coming out and joining me in this conversation, and kind of talking about some trends with AI that we're seeing in retail and e-commerce. And thank you so much for being a good sport. I know the last time we tried to do this, the presentation software kind of bit us a little bit. So I really appreciate you coming back a second time around and helping me get this out here. So
Oh,
thank you.
an absolute pleasure, Aaron. I'm so grateful, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm glad I was here, and thank you for everybody for coming back and joining us as well. We hope you found that informal, insightful, and fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's about it. Unless there are any questions that anyone's asked here. I see Michelle's posted the resource link. I think the only other question I see is someone asked specifically about which LLM model, and that was the, text 3 embedding small, and then the chat GPT 4.0 for conversation.
Yeah.
I guess I could add to that and just say that you don't need to be you don't feel like you need to use Chat GPT's models or OpenAI's models if you don't want to. If you prefer an open source approach, I've had some really good experiences using Hugging Face's models, and a lot of them are just as good and they perform really well. And you can get a free account with Hugging Face that will kind of get you around some rate limiting as well. So
Yeah, it's
it's,
so
it's
true.
definitely a viable choice.
Our engineers have been finding the same thing. They actually will go out and evaluate not just the common models like an OpenAI or an Anthropic or something like Metalama, but they've been looking at many of those very, very niche and specific open source models that are very
Oh,
good at
right,
doing one
right,
particular thing. And that's what they've been going for as well. So they've not been holding back on any particular one platform at all.
right, right. Uh, oh, it looks like we have a couple of other questions coming in. Someone asks, Andrew says, how can we work on continuously improving the results, with testing and refinement? I think that's definitely something that needs that you'd need to do. One thing that I find helps a lot too is you know kind of like you mentioned, Ali, with some of the rules and guardrails and tone that you can put into your prompt engineering. That's certainly a way that you can help influence your results. To kind of better fit your context a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure others will have ideas for any specific automation tools to evaluate for that. In many cases, we've been finding you will need to get a human in to be able to check it,
Right.
make sure it's on brand, that it sounds right. For example, some of the early work that our engineers were doing with respect to text generation, we were finding it was using a lot of superlatives and things like that a lot, and a lot of buzzwords, which
Right.
it
Right.
it actually starts to become repetitive and not very convincing. You start to being like, this output looks like AI when it should be sounding like a human. Really, in many cases, you need a human to be able to check for that and then tweak on the
Right.
back end how you're doing your prompt engineering.
Yep. No. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Let's see another one here. Should we use common LLMs like ChatGPT for this kind of task, or use task specific? and tiny LLMs. That's a really great question, and that's kind of the way that this kind of brings out the way that I kind of see enterprise adoption of Gen AI and LLMs coming, is that you'll see places that'll start maybe with a common model, but you'll see them move eventually, I think, to more like custom built LLMs. It'll just like for instance, there's a project I'm working on with my wife right now, and she's into like holistic healing and crystals and things like that. Well, I kind of built a crystal identifying app. So it'll identify like different properties of crystals and things. It'll identify it by images, and it's using one of Hugging Face's CLIP models to do that. Contrastive language image pre-training, I think, is what CLIP stands for. But the idea, though, is that model has not just been trained on pictures of crystals. It's been trained on like pictures of dogs and cats and cars and kind of everything. And eventually we might get to a point where we want better results. Then maybe it's time to bust out PyTorch and kind of train together our own crystal-specific model and maybe get some better results that way.
Yeah, we envision a very similar thing in the retail side of things, especially, like you said, at the enterprise level. Big brands and retailers, they aren't going to share their product catalog and other things with a publicly available LLM. That's just not going to happen. Right. So and some larger organizations are already doing this, and more will follow, which is they'll take a common model and then train it in-house, essentially. Right. Yeah. With their data that they can then use, that is relevant to them and is not being either leveraged by their competition or doesn't take into account their competition anyway. And so, yeah, we're seeing a similar thing happen in the retail side.
Yep. All right. So let's see. Do we need to copy the entire product database into a vector database, or could you have just used an existing like product API? Oh yeah, you absolutely could have used like a product API to get a lot of that information. I don't know about a specific like component or adapter inside of Langflow for that. There might be one, but you could certainly write a custom loader to pull together a CSV from a
exactly, whether it's coming from a PIM or an ERP system or something like that. Most of those will support the standard APIs, whether it's REST API, GraphQL, if they don't have a direct connector in any way, and you'll be able to call and retrieve data that way. If not, just do a good old-fashioned retrieve the CSV data in that way and use it. Yep. They all support this, so it can absolutely be done to basically fuel your RAG development.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that just about does it for our questions. Hey, Ali, one more time, thank you so much for joining me. This has been really great. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Likewise, it was so good to be here, and I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah. Hey, you too. All right. Hey, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.